Hey guys, number one Marmaduke fan here. Things have been going well. I saw family, spent some time on the beach, escaped Hurricane Dorian, and I lived to tell the tale. What a week. I'm back, I'm working. I thought I'd get a comic to just enjoy this week. Almost got a manga, but Lighter Than My Shadow by Katie Green caught my eye. This is an autobio comic, and I've read a couple autobio comics for this channel. The thing about autobio comics or like nonfiction comics about dark subject matter is they're either bad and then in which case you can actually kind of like pick them apart. You can say, oh, this is the scene where you let your stupid political agenda come in and spoil the message of what was otherwise something like really cool and really meaningful. Here's where you started lecturing and not having anything very interesting to say about the subject. But a good autobio comic is basically just tell the truth. Be honest about what it feels like to go through this thing, and don't pull your punches when you talk about it. So Lighter Than My Shadow is about anorexia. I do not have anorexia. I've been a skinny little runt all my life, but I have not had anorexia. I have had people who were close to me who were anorexic, and I just remember like not being able to really process or empathize with or understand what that meant or what the motivation was, because I just couldn't connect with that. When I was a kid, like I took being a big brother very seriously because my big brother like introduced me to a lot of cool stuff. He inspired me to start doing art. So for me, being a big brother was like this real source of pride for me, where I wanted to be a really good big brother. And it kind of hurt me that I didn't know how to help people in my life who were going through that. And the reason why Lighter Than My Shadow is a highest recommendation is it helps me have a mental picture for what this is like. The closest thing to what this is from my own life is when someone, my wife cheated on me, and I discovered her infidelity, and I was brokenhearted. And then she talked about wanting a divorce, and I kind of slunk into this deep depression that lasted really about a year. I was just clinically depressed. I was just miserable, couldn't talk to anybody, and I had to fight my way out of that in stages. So like the first stage was doing something other than just sitting on the couch in my underwear, staring at the wall. So like the first stage was doing really stupid little shirt designs just to do something while listening to the radio. And I don't know if that was like the best thing to do with my day, sitting around doing shirt designs all the time and listening to the radio, but it was better than drinking. It was better than doing drugs. It was better than hurting myself. So it was like a little step in the right direction. And the next step was like actually talking to people, getting out of the house, talking to my pastor, talking to my family, that kind of stuff. But even then you're still sad. So it's like grief and depression. You don't just like say, I will stop being depressed today. You have to, like, over the course of at least a year, maybe more than a year, gradually get to the point where you can function again and understand what it is that you're experiencing. So for me, that was like the first time I ever experienced anything like that. So it really hit me like a train wreck. So I literally remember feeling like there was a cloud around my head and I couldn't focus. And so Lighter Than My Shadow, this is a highest recommendation because it does what comics are supposed to do. It gives you a visual metaphor for the thing. So the visual metaphor for anorexia in this is a scribble that's kind of like a shadow, which means she can therefore use this throughout the book as a representation of the anorexia and coping with the anorexia, which is important because if you don't empathize with that, if you haven't experienced that, that's the part that's hard for you to wrap your mind around. So by using a visual metaphor, she can talk to you about what it feels like to cope with this, how it can sometimes like sneak up on you or envelop you, all that kind of stuff. It helps you connect with it. She also uses this kind of metaphor, visual motif of her like being cold and shrinking and then kind of like fading away into an ethereal nothing. So those are like her two big metaphors for struggling with an eating disorder. Now, the reason I say this is a highest recommendation is it does what an autobio comic needs to do. It's straightforward with you. It's honest with you. It's not pulling its punches. That's all it needs to do to get the highest recommendation. Katie Green's style, she even talks about this in the comic. She had trouble being an artist at first. People didn't, her art teacher didn't think she had a natural tendency for art. She seemed to have more of a tendency for science. And then she came to art later, kind of as she realized it was really her love and it's what she wanted to pursue. So she has, I've never found the right term for this. I think I have a good term. People call it bad art. I like to call it self-taught art, or art where you're clearly teaching yourself to draw later in life than the young people who kind of blossomed and really went hard at art really early on. So Picasso is someone who clearly was kind of had that genius sort of mentality. He was going really hard at art really early on in his life. You can go back to when he was 13. He was really going nuts for realistic portraiture. And then as he grew up, he got more and more experimental, right? So Katie Green is a self-taught artist. And one of the beautiful things about comics, I think, is comics needs to have room for this kind of thing, because that's actually one of the things that makes comics unique, is people who can't draw like Leonardo da Vinci can make meaningful works of art that impact people. And that's where the writing part, I think, has to come in and really whack you over the head. The writing and the art always have to work together, which is one of Katie Green's strengths, is that she clearly takes the comics medium seriously. She names a few of her inspirations towards the end of the book. And I'm just going to show you just a few pages to show you how she's using the metaphor. Okay, so like cloud overhead, cloud enveloping. Okay, by the way, there's like nudity, there's discussion of sexual topics, there's discussion of being sexually abused. So this is a mature book. It's talking about mature life experiences and is trying to be honest about that. So consider yourself warned before you go in. So for her, okay, I need to show you this so you understand the metaphor. So for her, anorexia is represented by the scribble and the shadow, and she is enveloped in the shadow. So the problem is you can't just like willpower yourself out of that. You are stuck in this mode where you don't have the will to do anything. You feel trapped. And the bad habit is actually a coping mechanism with something else, like shame or guilt or a need to be a control freak over your life. And that's the kind of like unwinnable problem she's in. Then she kind of like starts to use her art as a way of gathering up this emotion, figuring out this emotion. She's pouring that into her art. And this is really meaningful because art can help you feel better. Art can express joy, but a lot of great art comes from pain and really getting run over by life and self-doubt and all of these negative feelings. And that actually can be the prompt of great art, because when you draw on that pain, you can tell something that connects to people who also have felt pain. So it's a long book. I think it needed to be just about this length, because part of her point is you don't just like do a 3-step program and solve a problem like this. This comes at you in stages. So I really connected with that. Really good use of the visual metaphors. I want to skip ahead and find her artistic references, actually. Where are they? Arts Council of England to Sean Tan, Craig Thompson, and Anders Nielsen. I've heard of 2 out of those 3. All right, so highest recommendation. I just was really gut punched by it. There are some really countercultural things in this that I think are meaningful and actually really important for young people to think about. I'll spoil it. There's like a whole subplot where she meets with like a mystic new age guru guy who kind of like, I will help your energy flow and this will help you with your anorexia. And then she figures out that this isn't helping her and it's not trustworthy. So I was really impressed by that because she's just being honest. And I like that she's like showing all of these solutions to her problem that end up not working. They don't help fix the underlying problem. So Lighter Than My Shadow, it's a highest recommendation. There's not much else I can say about it because it is what it is. It's a gut punch. This helped me understand people in my life who have anorexia better. I feel like I'm going to be able to connect with that problem a little better now. This helped me connect with a problem in my own life that I've been doing great, by the way. I think I successfully got over my depression in the sense that you never stop feeling sad about the thing, but you learn to not let that sadness derail you, and you learn to find joys in other things that take the place of the emptiness that sadness needs to fill. That's the message of a book like Lighter Than My Shadow. It's not a happy slappy, everything will be okay in 3 minutes message. Even towards the end, she's acknowledging that this is an ongoing thing you have to continue to endure and continue to struggle with. Very honest book. Highest recommendation. You should read it. I think it'll help you connect with people better. That's it. I'm #1 Marmaduke fan. I love you guys. Catch you later.